Ooh, that's bright, see? So the point is, when the sun is direct like this, not working. I'm on my scaffold here a little bit, but you can see this is almost all completely covered with shade still. And then the next, you can see the sun there. And in the next hour, it'll switch from 90 watts to 100, or not 100, like 1500, well over 1,000. And the interesting thing is, with the direct sun in shade, you get a lot less power than you would on a cloudy day. Here's my master control dashboard here. This is how I like to keep an eye on things. I have this little window. This is basically a remote screen share kind of thing of the color control Raspberry Pi thing that I have. And then this shows, in the VRM console here, this shows what I'm using over time. Now here's what I want to bring up. Oh, I should add weather. So if we go into the Advanced tab, and so I've got the last 7 days up here, and we'll scroll down to PV power, or PV yield rather. So you can see we are at, we're just not making much power right now, but there's plenty of sun, right? Well, we looked yesterday. What time are we at now? 10:07. It's about an hour off. So if we go to 10, thereabout. I mean, half. Yesterday we had partial cloud cover. Interesting, isn't it? And even, I mean, 161, 164 by 8 o'clock. Same thing. When you have partial clouds, you actually get more solar if you have partial shade. Now this was just cloudy, rainy, nasty. That we weren't getting anything that day. So this is what normally happens. The sun's rays come straight onto the panel. You get the most output you can when that happens. But then, when it's shaded, the sun's direct rays are blocked. And the only other way any kind of light makes it to the panel is through other ambient sources, like off of the ground or a wall or something. Direct rays are not hitting it. And then we see here, when there's clouds, what happens is the sun's light goes into the cloud, and then the cloud acts almost as a giant light umbrella that photographers might use. So the light is actually able to get around that shade source, and while it's not nearly as strong as direct sunlight, it is actually better than shaded light. So I hope that makes things just a little more clear, and I've got some more examples here from later on in the day. Just a quick update here. It is 12:14 now, about an hour later, and we are up to 147, 141 watts of, now keep in mind there's almost 2,000 watts of solar panels on there, but they're flat mounted and still spraying. So I'm going to keep checking in as I see this continue to rise, and we'll see exactly how dramatic it is. Not even 10 minutes later, we're at 300, 320, 300. Look, you can just watch it go up. Well, it keeps bouncing around. See the MPPT, if you're curious, if anybody's curious how this ends up looking, is that the, yeah, that's the controller there. So you can see how the maximum power point tracking is working. It's constantly trying to find the right, it plays around with voltage and amperage to get the highest watt number it can. So it'll keep bouncing around. And generally it's dropping the PV voltage is down because when it's shaded, partially shaded, the maximum amperage is at a lower voltage because so many of the cells are at a lower voltage. They're not all at 80. Some are at 80, or at least not at that amperage anyway. So as more and more cells get more sun, it'll keep going up. I mean, look, while we've been chatting here, it's bouncing around. We're hitting 360 sometimes. Now this says 11 because it doesn't take into effect daylight savings time or something. I don't know. I love Victron, but it is European based, and I guess they don't respect our crazy weird time things that we do. 15 minutes after that first one, we're up to where we were, I think still getting just a tick over 100. Now we're at 400. Now let's take a look outside. This is the next day. It's cloudy. And look what we're pulling in here. It's 9:45 or so. 300 watts, cloudy. Versus yesterday, 90 watts, sunny. Interesting. So I think that just goes to show that sometimes cloudier is better. Now what we have here, I think we may be getting what they call, there's a little bit of sunlight so you can see the reflection. And there's a little bit of shadows here though. But I think what we're getting is what's called the edge of cloud effect, a little bit. But yeah, it's just so interesting to me.